Hello, I'm Kimberlie, and welcome to the weekend edition of the Native News Update. It's Friday, March 14th, and many of the stories you hear here can be found at IndianCountryTV.com. And here's the news for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. The Justice Department recently created a national task force to look at violence and its impact on American Indian and Alaska Native children. In one of the broadcast studies done on the topic, officials are alarmed to find high suicide rates among teens, which are more than 3 times the national average and 10 times on some reservations. Some task force officials consider this an outcome of what they call pervasive despair. In a thorough Washington Post report on the subject by Sari Horowitz, Teresa M. Powley, the chief judge of the Tulalip Tribal Court in Washington State and a member of the Indian Law and Order Commission, list many disadvantages that she sees for tribal youth. 1/4 of the Indian children live in poverty, she says, versus 13% nationwide. Their substance abuse rates are higher, and they are twice as likely as other races to die before the age of 24. And they have 2 times the rate of abuse and neglect. The trauma spans generations, according to Sarah Kastelik, Deputy Director of the National Indian Child Welfare Association, who spoke at the first hearing on the task force. Experts call this historical trauma. A construction crew in Central Texas may have unearthed the remains of an ancient Native American cemetery. The human bones were discovered at the site of a future 225-home subdivision in Round Rock, about 100 miles northeast of San Antonio. Work was halted after the bones were discovered and the police were called in to investigate. According to the Associated Press, after examining photos of the bones, an FBI anthropologist said that they appeared to be the remains of a Native American. Texas State University anthropologists were called to the site to excavate the area, which has long been a popular spot to search for Indian arrowheads. Because the possible Native American remains were found on private land, the developers, KB Home, are responsible for preserving the site or hiring a professional anthropologist to remove and relocate the remains. Texas state law says that even a single body constitutes a cemetery, and a qualified anthropologist must determine if there are other remains in the area. Historically, Central Texas was home to several Native American tribes, including the Tonkawa, Apache, and Comanche. The Coeur d'Alene tribe donated $1.2 million to 52 educational programs in Idaho. The funds support a variety of educational efforts, including reading, music, arts, science, vocational and GED preparation classes, and college scholarship programs. The Tribal Council considered 150 requests for projects totaling more than $4 million and awarded funding to 52 of the requests. Tribal leaders made a commitment to education in 1992 when they agreed to return 5% of the tribe's net gaming revenues to education as part of a gaming compact with the state. The latest round of donations brings the tribe's total contributions to education to $21.4 million. The tribe will accept applications for 2015 funding through September 30th. Those with questions should contact Heather Keene, the tribe's Public Relations Director, at 208-686-2023. The Indian Land Tenure Foundation and Native American Natural Foods, a small company based on the Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota, have teamed up to launch a campaign to reintroduce large numbers of buffalo into several Great Plains states, including North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, and pockets of Minnesota. Between 1,000 and 2,000 buffalo would initially be introduced to graze, roam, and live just like they did for thousands of years. Much of the money raised would be used to acquire land. The group wants to raise funds to assist producers in the purchase of 1 million acres in the Great Plains states, a task organizers expect will take years and plenty of capital. Chris Stanbrook, who heads the Indian Land Tenure Foundation based in Little Canada, Minnesota, says reintroducing buffalo in large numbers to the Great Plains would also be great for the environment. He says it could help restore the prairie and aid in the sequestration of carbon. Prairie grass typically grows roots to 15 to 18 feet deep, with 80% of the plant's carbon below the surface of the soil, making the storage of lots of carbon underground possible. Stainbrook says that would lead to enormous commercial possibilities in the carbon trade, which presently revolves largely around timber. The University of South Alabama and the Porch Band of Creek Indians have announced the creation of a Native American Studies program that will focus on the history, culture, and modern life of the tribe, along with others in the Southeast and across the United States. The Porch Band of Creek Indians Native American Studies program will be funded in part by a $500,000 gift from the tribe. And that's another roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. I'd like to thank you for joining me and have a grand day.